Ryback Show starts now. Welcome to the Ryback Show Live. I am the big guy Ryback. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever in the world you are listening from, we are streaming live on Instagram and TikTok, the big guy Ryback22. Unfortunately, still 90-day shadow ban on Instagram, being very, very limited on all content there. TikTok still being severely limited with a shadow ban and content creator suspension for 5 months. YouTube as well. We are still awaiting word on getting that fixed. And Twitter as well, around the horn. What an odd coincidence that is with all things. But I appreciate all of you for listening over here. Ryback TV on YouTube, Ryback Rules on Twitch, and at Ryback on Twitter. You are the co-host of this show. The best place to be is here on YouTube at Ryback TV. Subscribing is always greatly appreciated, Junior, with notifications on if possible. You are the co-host of the show. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions go, ladies and gentlemen. Health, fitness, supplementation, mindset, pro wrestling, sports, politics, and just life in general, anything and everything in between. The show is available on all podcast platforms. Thank you to everybody that listens to the audio version. We are moving up the podcast charts and hopefully continue to do so in the wrestling podcast. Even though this is more than just a wrestling podcast, we do talk a lot of pro wrestling on here, and but we are certainly not limited to just that. So it's nice to be moving back up and hopefully get our rightful place near the top. And again, I don't know if we could do that with all the shadow ban stuff, but I will say, everybody on TikTok and Instagram and everybody that listens to this show, if you ever saw what happened with Andrew Tate, we saw they took him away, his stuff with everything. What's being done to me is actually worse because it keeps you in purgatory and people can't actually see. Whereas if you just took somebody's accounts away, everybody could clearly see that what is going on. But when you shadow ban and restrict it, it's the worst thing ever. So I need to rely, and I'm going to push this for you guys. Use me to get views. My videos, whenever other people on TikTok post videos of me, they get the highest views on their channel typically, or hundreds of thousands, some of them millions. So take clips of this show, things that you think will be relevant content with it, okay? Like I do, and I put it on my YouTube, and sometimes I'll share it on social media and whatnot. But you're more than welcome to cut clips and on Ryback on this, on that. This is going to be the way we beat the system on what's going on. And I want to put them in a position where they think they have to delete my accounts, because I want that pressure on them, because that's going to help me out legally with everything when we have to go to that point in time. Because I've done nothing wrong. It's WWE restricting my accounts because I didn't give them to them when I left, because that was illegal, and they're not their accounts with this, and they've latched on. So we've got to fight back. So please use the clips, spread the word, get views. I'm okay with you getting views with me because it's going to still bring it back to me with that. So grow your channels with the clips. You saw what they've done with other people with Tate and them. They do it with everyone. There's ones of me too. The people that do it, they do very, very well. I've seen channels that have 500 people following them. They don't get any views on any of their videos. They do a video on me and they get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views with it. Take advantage of it with it. You're more than welcome to cut this show and clip it and to post it. Tag me, please. I'll reshare it. I'll plug your channel, resharing it, because it's my show with it. But that's how we're going to beat the system on this. And I've just got to continuously think and pushing out different ideas and finding ways until I can go to California here one of these weekends and go visit these people face to face. But that's the deal on everything. This show is brought to you by Feed Me More Nutrition, my premium supplement line sweetened with stevia and monk fruit. No harmful artificial sweeteners or colors. Vegan friendly for all people, men and women. He, she, and thee on feedmemore.com. New customers can save 30% discount code Ryback30 at checkout. Returning customers can save 20% discount code FEEDME20 at checkout. Still get a free bottle of our 123 Muscle Joint Tendon Support, a $49.99 value, yours free. The free gift with the big discount. Guys, we have signed up for the email and text message programs. Great ways to save each and every week. Massive savings program for our really high returning customer rate. It's my way of saying thank you to our most loyal customers. No spam, just one email and one text a week with a huge discount and a message of the week, usually of something positive or something that a life lesson that I've learned or a health tip. So it is well worth it. And The people that know, and I hope you're soon to find out as well. All right, let's rock and roll. Super chats are greatly appreciated here on YouTube. The Big Guys Starbucks and Shoulder Relief Fund. I will say too on YouTube, the Ruffles video is starting to really it continues to be 3 years in. It'll be 3 years on March 20th, I believe, that video was made, and we continue to climb with that. It is the #1 video produced on YouTube from this channel with that, and I've set a target. We're at 3.4 million views. If we get that to 100 million views, it's going to open up a lot of possibilities. It's going to be very lucrative for me on that, and it's a way with everything going on. I just think the ultimate FU to everything and everyone with everything that's gone on is landing a massive Ruffles deal with Feed Me More on it. And I've mentioned that multiple times, and it is a very real possibility with everything if we can continue to grow that and get that momentum. And views are a very powerful thing when it comes to that. And that video has the capability and the potential to reach 100 million views with it. It did that being suppressed. If it's not suppressed, that thing is going to rapidly take off. So, I take pictures and autographs around town for people that just know me as the Chips guy. It's a powerful video with it. And everything going on. I've just continued to keep my cool and keep thinking, how could we beat them? If this is the restrictions they're putting on me. So that's why I'm going to be relying on you guys. I have to. There's nothing else. This is the way you beat the system with it. If they don't push out the content on my own stuff, then it's up to everyone else. If you guys do, it will get seen, because the ones that do get seen. All right. I don't even want to think about the 2024 election. Everything is such a, you know what I mean? Let's just get through 2023. And I mean, I think trust in everything is at an all-time low, especially in our elected officials and that whole deal. My workout today, I got arms and conditioning today, and abs, arms, conditioning, and abs, I believe. Actually, no, wait, I'm sorry. Abs are Friday. I have arms and conditioning today, and a lot of shoulder work, as always. Yeah, Brock versus Omos. No, that's not bad. I talked about that yesterday. We should have a clip coming out on that here in the next 2 or 3 days, if not today, from yesterday's show. And you let the people that are going to complain. I talked about it in depth. I give you a very, very logical reason on why that match is happening and why it's good, and why it's good for not just it's good for the talents, it's good for other talents, and it's good for the fans, and it mixes the card up. You need a variation of different matches and styles on that, and it is, and we don't know what way that's going to go. It could be for Brock, it could be for Omos. You never know what is going through anything. We don't know if Brock's contract's up. He's going to go away for a while. We'll have to wait and see. But Brock has had some losses, but that's all part of it. It's physical acting. He makes more money the more he loses, believe it or not. Brock was winning so much that they were so selective on who they were having wrestle him. They had a problem, WWE, when I was there, they had a real problem. And like, there's matches, he did like a match with Sheamus. They booked him too strong, where it then was like they didn't want him just to run through guys. And so they were very selective on like, well, who are we going to give to him that's not going to damage their character? So like they had to be careful, like with strong characters and people with Brock. I mean, they literally fed all of New Day to him, like at one point, like in just, it is what it is on that. And there's a time and place for everything. But from his standpoint, he's making money on his contract, but the more he could be an underdog, and Cena was great at this. Cena's big and jacked, and this is why I take more. I like the Cena Hogan style more than like the Goldberg undefeated streak style, because that runs its course at some point. You want to be a mix of big and intense, and this is what I really feel I found, especially really towards the end when I was babyface, uh, was be dominant when you're in control and know how to work your style, but also be able to be beaten up and know how to sell and be an underdog, because you can then work programs with anybody with that. And it's just there's more money in it. It's better. It's just better. And that's why it's almost like Braun is almost too big at times to be that. He's better off being a heel, because he's a big, tall, jacked guy, where it's tough to get heat on him from most guys. With some guys they can, but he's limited on who he can work. Like he can't work the Cena style, or he can. It's just more difficult to convince people of that. And you got to be able to have people that know how to put heat on, and that's believable. And that's a problem. There's not a lot of big guys in wrestling in general anymore. There's some, but there's not a lot. Most of the guys are on the smaller side. So you have to look at that and like, well, how can I make money on with what the roster is? But I'm looking forward to that. Good to see all of you. What do we got going on today? I think I missed a super chat. Yeah, brother. Hey, no spamming the chat. We're going to go ahead and shell shock you out of here. But thank you very much. No need to, no need. Super chat, Jack Frost. Thank you very much. Jack Frost just throwing $5 at the big guy, throwing that $5 bill on the stripper stage. Big guy doing the Alex Wright dance. Put that $5 in the tights. On to the next one. Thank you very much. That would be the big guy, Ryback. His go-to dance moves are Alex Wright in the Disco Inferno deal. That, and then a little bit of I have a gorilla shake that I was known for in my younger days in the clubs, with a little bit of the old Jack Daniels and booze running through my veins. The little gorilla shake would come out. Many a woman fell for the gorilla shake, believe it or not. Many a women. That's back to my silverback days. Who do I think is going to win, Reigns or Rhodes? I don't know. I think the story for Cody and knowing Cody and living with him, and I hope that they pull the trigger and give him that, because there's no better place to win a championship than WrestleMania. More people are going to see it, and I think with his story and overcoming and coming back in the pec injury and wrestling with that pec injury, which is pretty remarkable. Like that is, I don't know many people that have done that, and I think had he not just, I think if he had been there and circumstances were a little different, and he'd had some championships already, I think they might have just let him rest and there would have been no pressure. But I think with everything and him coming back and wanting and finally getting the push that he'd worked so hard for, right, and all that he felt he needed to go prove something, and he did. He definitely did, because that was I've had some intense injuries, and that's an intense injury on that sort of thing, and it shows a lot of heart and determination and passion, and that's so for him to be in the spot, I would like to see that pulled. I understand if it's not in Roman, there's a bigger plan in place, but for Cody's sake, and I think it's going to be a good moment if they do it. I think it's good business, and the Bloodline storyline has been strong for so long. And if Roman takes a break after Mania, and then that allows them to kind of reshuffle things and assess what the game plan with all that is going forward, never a bad thing, a little break and the start of some new stuff. So Thank you very much. Sup, Ryback. I'm in my college campus and just chilling in the library watching your live. Love you, big guy. Thank you very much. Always interesting to see it or hear where people are listening and watching from. I laugh too when people tell me like they put the Chips video on. There's people that go to bed to that Chips video every night. There's people that watch the food videos and eat their food every night, whether it's lunch or dinner. And I'm like, man, that's a pretty powerful thing when people do that. You know what I mean? That's a pretty cool thing. I'm offended at that question. Do you still work out? Of course I still work out. I look exactly the same. How do I not? I don't know if you, because I'm sitting here in the podcast studio. I'm 285, 90 pounds most times, freaking jacked. I have not let myself go one bit. So I'm offended. I'm offended at that. No, I've just completely let myself go. Super chat, Uncle Snizzle, another $5 on stage. Oh, here we go. The disco dance. Disco fever coming out. Grab it, throw that in the singlet. I really don't have any questions today. That's fine. Just the $5 on the stripper stage, bro. We're cool. We don't have to talk. But I enjoy you doing this stream every day. So here's $5 for your next coffee. Ha ha ha. Thank you very much, buddy. Greatly appreciated. With inflation and the price of Starbucks coffees going up, it is going to be $5 sooner than later. We're at $3.52 for a hot cup of large black coffee with nothing in it. Just a couple years ago, this same coffee was $2.78. We are almost $1 in a 2-year period. So it is not going to be, it's going to happen at some point in time, most likely. Hopefully not for a long time, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe things stabilize, but it's crazy. I talked to you guys about this stuff. Thank you very much, though, buddy. Always appreciated. My pet insurance for my dogs, I just got the rate hikes on all my dogs again. My bill that used to be like 130 something for 3 dogs is now, because I paid for my other dog, my dad's dog, but I got her was secret. And her, Sophie, and little guy are now $200 and something from 130, just like a year ago. And that's everything has gone up. I keep telling you, I go, gas and electric here in Vegas. If you live in Vegas, I'm curious. My gas bill was just $170 something. This is just gas, not counting electric and solar with it. My gas used to be, most of the bills in like the summer are like 16 or 20 bucks or 25 bucks with it. In the winter, because the heat uses the gas also. It was always only, there's like a couple months where it goes up a little bit, where like it'd be like in that $40, $50 range. But that's it. Maybe every once in a blue moon, like a $63 bill, 170 something from that. And last month before that was 150 something. And this should have been the most expensive, but they've had significant rate hikes here. And I'm just like, this is wild. So everything's just going up. I go, this is, I look at things and I just go, that's a lot of money across that I'm paying extra for and everything with groceries and food and, chicken wings. You guys remember, this wasn't long ago. You used to be able to go places and get like 10-cent chicken wing night, or 25 cents a wing, or 50 cents a wing. Like, and then now wings, you're paying dollars per wing now. What's the deal? 30 wings from Buffalo Wild Wings is like, it's either high 40s or low 50s. Something pretty ridiculous. That's a lot of wings, I know, but just do that. That's the math that I have based off what I know. There's another super chat coming in here. Did I miss 2 super chats? Here's the first one, Grim Reefer. Thank you very much, buddy. Man, $5 is the number today on stage. Now on stage, the big guy, Ryback. Tips are greatly appreciated. I don't know if Cody's going to win. I thought Edge was going to win at WrestleMania. Cody has a similar story. Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that we suspected something and it doesn't happen. like I said, it depends on what the ultimate storyline is. And, it depends on if Vince is, how much Vince is truly, truly involved in things. And, I've heard different theories, and Kevin Nash talked about it. Like, Vince set the price so high. Did he set it so high at 9 billion, overvalue it so that the sale doesn't happen? And then how he's back, he's in the leadership position and just kind of, well, we tried, and he did everything, and because he's a very smart man. And do you think he's gonna like sit back and he step down, and do you think he's gonna let things go that way, or like he's gonna figure out a way to I don't know. But you got to remember with how they are, and I'm telling you this, all of them. Cody they released him, or he left and he went out, and then he kind of took some shots along the way, which all that happens with everybody does that. But do you think, and then he comes back, and then it depends on what his contract is. If he has a contract where they have complete control, and I know this from experience, what they did with me, the number one way Vince gets back at people that he wants to try to get back at is he gets you as close to that carrot. He dangles that carrot, and he gets you as close to it as possible, and then he takes it away. That's his bread and butter tactic on trying to mind F people on that. And so that would not surprise me one bit if that happened to Cody. It wouldn't. Do I want that to happen? No. They've not booked him anyway, but they will book him great to get to that point just to do it. That is the honest to God's truth on how that kind of environment. Anyone that knows. We'll have to wait and see. Another super chat here. I never have been a big sniffing salt guy on lifts. I've done it a couple times at Cena's gym because they had them and we all were trying them. But I always never needed that. I just was able to do it. I never needed to do that to wake up or anything. The extent of wrestling too was just pouring ice cold water, 2 bottles over me. And that was enough to that wakes me up. And now I'm ready. It helped me make my eyes a little red because I'd help it kind of just get me pumped. And that was my deal. But not even the water, I don't do that working out. I just get warmed up and then you go for the lift. Super chat, JC Flicks throwing $4.99. Man, you threw change on stage. That's a little messed up. In my campus lecture, I study while hearing the Chips vid. LOL. Hopefully real soon I'll get some Feed Me More nutrition. Love you, big guy. Keep being you. Thank you very much, buddy. I hope everything's going well with your studies and continue to work hard and whatever it is that you're going to school for. And it's I'm greatly appreciative of you guys. I don't know where Tarver. I don't know if Michael Tarver still lives in. Is he in Florida still? I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. I get along great with Tarver though. All the Nexus guys, we all get along really well. His career, he's the only one though that didn't. And he's beyond. He's very talented. He's a very good promo too. But I think and he has several kids, and I don't know the specifics of his life and his upbringing, but we all come from different backgrounds, and I think he's had a more difficult background at times. And pro wrestling is a very difficult business, and it's very political, and he was a little older in the sense of, and I could tell you if just knowing in things when you're in WWE and you're starting out and you don't have a lot of say or power, you don't have a lot of options. You kind of gotta know how to play the game in the sense of when stuff is going on and on the political side. Because and this is one of the for new guys, and this is where I always tell guys having a good attitude. This is why I laugh too. I always had a great attitude, and I know how to do business, and it's like I always laugh if I ever see anyone that says anything. I can talk about stuff honestly outside of it, but when you're in there and you understand if that's the contract, you understand, and like there's a good and a bad way to do business. And I think sometimes it was early on in NXT, and he wasn't being featured right away, and I could they I think sensed that he was unhappy. I'm not thinking, I know that because we were there on several occasions and saw some like producers kind of give him a look because he would kind of like and I don't think that helped him. And it was unfortunate because he was beyond talented. And I think, but that's based off of his experience in life. He was already frustrated, whereas towards the end of my career, and I had a lot more power, but I was frustrated. You get frustrated at different points, but that never stopped me from doing good business. And I did great business on the way out. They go, "Oh, you're not signing the contract. We're going to have you lose to our smallest guy on the roster." Trying to piss me off. Didn't let it piss me off. I like that small guy. I'll go put him over clean all day long with it. He's beyond talented. He's an awesome guy. He's amazing in the ring. No problem doing that. Whereas like some guy, I don't let whatever's going on personally with the company or things affect other relationships with talent. And I could hate a guy all day long. I could completely put a match together and go do good business because that's what being a professional is. I've always been able to separate that, but some guys aren't as good at that and whatnot. And not saying Tarver's not, but like just too early on, I think he just got that. The producers kind of, and the producers will look for it. They'll make stuff up too sometimes. And I just think it got a bad rap, and it wasn't as bad as it should have been because he was a great talent, and he could have made them money, man, and made a lot of money himself. And it's just, but that's not the way his story was meant to go. Everyone has a different story and a different objective in life and journey altogether. So he's but he's a good guy, man. I like him a lot. And we laugh whenever we see each other. Last time I saw him was here in Vegas with PJ Black and with Justin Gabriel from Nexus, and I picked them up. They were working out, and I did an interview with that Chris Van Vliet. That was the one at Excalibur when I was in the suit. And I just finished that, and they were in town, and I hadn't seen them. So I went and picked them up from this gym that they were working at, and we went and got food at Outback Steakhouse. And I got a picture. I posted it on my socials at the time, and it was great to see all of them, to see those two again. And but that's the last time. And I hadn't seen Tarver in a long time prior to that. So but he looked great still, in shape, strong. He's strong, man. That guy, that's one thing. He can deadlift. Man, he can deadlift a lot in that wide sumo stance. His pulls are beyond impressive. And they're on his thing. His channel, I firmly believe too, and I talk about the stuff that's happened. I've just got a much larger following because I've been there, and when I made my accounts, I always saw him. I'll tell you two guys I think WWE has restricted who are talented, who post stuff that should get more views than they get, are Abraham Washington and Michael Tarver. I think they're on the same thing that I have, that no matter what they do, his posts, just no one will see them. And I'll see one every once in a while, like it, and see that it's not even being distributed. And he has more than enough followers to where you should be seen. And I go, that's really odd. But this is why I just know, and I know from my stuff, the paperwork, I go, this place is evil. And they left not on good terms. I left not on good terms. So what do? They try to ruin your life. Oh, we're just going to make it where you're not going to do good at anything that you do when you leave. No one's going to see it. It's a very, very dangerous thing. This is why I'm fighting so hard, because people are going to see it some point in time, because it's not right. But he's a good dude, man. Hello, hello. Yeah, he's a rapper also. He does a lot of different things with rapping. He's been doing that, man, from the beginning. Somebody says, go eat chips. Jeremy Williams says, did you see the video of Dutch? He's talking about Dutch Mantel, and I have seen it. Trashing you from a few weeks ago. And that wasn't a few weeks ago. That was months ago. It was last year some point, unless he made another new one, which his videos on that he did the other one had a lot of views. So it wouldn't shock me. It's like the Cornette syndrome. He claimed the locker room didn't like you. I don't believe him. Yeah, you shouldn't. That's a lie. He even says, if you go watch the video, that he got along with me. We never had any issues. He used to come up and sit next to me and talk to me. We always got along. I saw that. I was completely shocked. I have no idea. That came out of left field when I saw that. And I left a comment on the thing. I would love for you to discuss facts. And he, like, just random out of nowhere. I'm like, what are the odds 7 years later, after I've left, been gone, with a guy that was there during a good portion of the time I was there, who would come and talk to me. We always had pleasant conversations, and we didn't talk a lot, but when we did, everything was always positive and pleasant, and seemed like a nice guy. And then he says that, and I'm like, that's not what? It's just odd. And I don't, man, like, I wish him the best. I know I talk to the guys still there. Like, it's me and Dolph. Dolph, we laugh at this stuff. We're like, it's like these, and I don't want to disrespect anyone even calling them old, because I'm going to be old, and it's a privilege to get old. Like, but like, I don't know what warrants someone to do that, like, that you've worked with. It's like, to me, that's just like, and I tell you guys, like, the Mark Henry stuff, he got paid. I'm telling you, he got paid. And he's friends with Dutch. Dutch was around him on some of the things. So I go, what's the connection to that? It's just odd. And then he talks about, oh, he was the shits in the ring or the whatever. I go, no, I'm not. No. And by the way, Dutch, when were you ever in the ring with me? When were you ever even around? And hey, if I was, let's just say I was, you being the mentor and the professional you are, why did you never come and talk to me and try to offer me some tips so I could improve? But my thing is, if you're going to say that, why don't you specifically give examples of how I was? They can't. Nobody can, because I know what I'm doing, and I'm really, really good. And I'm not going to, like, I just will not tolerate it. But hey, he's going to have to live with that. These guys are going to see me at some point in time. I'm not going to go hurt them. They're old, and I've said they're out of their prime and all that. It's just, but I'm not afraid to let somebody know that, hey, I'll let you know what I think with that, and I don't appreciate it. It's not right. It's not cool. And it's like, why in 7 years later, and he tells on himself in the video, oh, we got along great every time I saw him. I never had an issue with him. So how all of a sudden is that what are you coming from out of left field with all the BS, right? I would love for them to specifically give examples. These guys are more than welcome to talk to me, by the way. Any single one of them are more than welcome to talk to me face to face. You want to come on here and have a conversation? More than welcome to come talk to me. That's the best way. You guys have seen it when I do it with the people like this. I could talk to Dutch all day. Cornette wants to talk to me. Talk to him all day. I'll just break it down. Let's go from the very beginning. What's your deal? And let's go. They don't have an argument there. And I think it's like, that's a way for Cornette gets views on it and about the stuff and being controversial. And Dutch is the same probably thing. Oh, gets views on my videos. Anybody, that's why I said, they make a video on me, they get views, they get a lot of them. And I just think it's taking a playbook out of the Cornette negative BS. And I mean, what else is there to say? Like, I don't know. I mean, I talk to a lot of the people still. So I talk to people there. I don't know what I don't know what his, if you're going to say stuff like that, I think you should be a little more, descriptive. But that's one of the things that I told you guys with, like, WWE, all this stuff going on with my business. They know I'm getting healthy, want to come back. What better way? You tarnish it. The worst thing you could say about a wrestler is that they're dangerous in the ring and they're toxic in their behavior. And why do they do that? Because then, like, other promotions might be fearful. It's such an easy thing, and it's so far from the truth with it. Like I just go, the truth wins. I'll get back. I know the right people. I have the right connections. I know how to do business in a good way where I can prove all of that wrong very quickly on it. And these guys are going to look bad when it's all said and done, because they're going to be called out on their BS. But I was like, it takes you 7 years to come up with something. Why wasn't that being talked about earlier? Why weren't you talking about that for the last 6.5 years, 7 years before you decide on your show to, like, just make something up? But yeah. Anytime a guy, though, goes to trash you and then he goes, hey, I got along with him good, he was always nice to me, then you just kind of, like, you should maybe question what he's about to say. Yeah, no, Cornette does have good takes on wrestling. That's where you'll see me. I could tell you where they're lying on things and they're BSing, but they mix it all together. That's not to say he doesn't have good takes on things. I think a lot of people would agree he has good takes on things. I just think he's an overly negative, hateful human being for people that are in the business that you just should have respect for to a certain degree with it. And especially people like he comes up to me when he met me in person. He came to me. I never went to Jim. I didn't seek Jim out. Jim came to me to come over to meet me, to shake my hand and say hello. That's all you got to know. I didn't go to Jim and, oh, hello, Mr. Cornette. It's a pleasure to meet you. I can't wait for you to bury me on your show. He came over to me because he probably had said something I was unaware of prior, and he probably wanted to make sure, oh, I'm going to make sure he doesn't see me, or he doesn't whatever. Comes up, oh, hello, I'm Jim Cornette. Nice to meet you. Let me pull this stick out of my ass. Whew, didn't punch me. It's wild. That's real life, though. I live in the real world. They live in a fake world. Yeah, I'm really looking forward. What are my thoughts on John Jones? Cyril gone. Is it game gone? They pronounce it multiple ways. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I think I want to look at the rest of that card. I'm probably going to watch that card though. And it's interesting. I think Francis is going to be watching. And I think Francis Ngannou is actually really smart because he did everything with the contract stuff. But this gives him a way to scout John Jones at heavyweight against the guy he already beat. So then, whatever way that goes, Francis can maybe make a decision on if he wants to come back for UFC and take that fight, which is even bigger. And it gives him more time because his knee was messed up. He's a very smart man, even though, and his English is getting better and better. And I've met him at the Extreme Couture where I get my shoulder worked on. He's a very nice guy, and he's a very smart man. And you don't work your way from poverty and living in another country to becoming a heavyweight champion here without being somewhat smart and having a very, very good work ethic. So I think he's going to be watching closely as well. And I honestly don't know, man. I don't know what way I've seen quite a few of the John Jones fights, and he's been out for a bit, but that guy is training like an animal. He's definitely put on weight, and Cyril, man, is a monster in there, but he's beatable. He's beatable, and we've seen that. And but John got pushed. Was it with Reyes, that fight, which I saw that years ago, and it was close, man. And so there's just a lot of I'm rooting for a good fight and an entertaining fight, and I don't know which way it's going to go. There's so many variables in this. Thank you, Rebecca. She says, I'll never get why people give you such a bad reputation, big guy. You're a total sweetheart. You've always liked all my posts and have been very kind when you respond to me. You love your fans. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Yeah, no, I think and it's like for those of us that know, and I've liked every comment on YouTube. I try to show everybody I'm appreciative, and I feel like I'm one of the most responsive guys in wrestling. But I'm a business owner, and I've learned a lot from Gary Vaynerchuk on that end, and trying to have a connection. It's not easy with all the platforms, but as much as possible, and do things and try to help as much as I can, as well as help myself, and do just to try to have good balance with all of it. So yeah, I don't know what we live in a day and age where people, like to just jump to conclusions. And, I took on a multi-billion-dollar company and I clean sweeped them. That company has a lot of fans, right? That alone creates a lot of hate. Add in the Punk stuff, add in Henry getting paid, and then Dutch is friends with Mark, and I don't know what the connection with all of that, but he kind of just regurgitates that same spiel that Mark regurgitated, that was instructed to say, to try to prevent. I don't know if they think that's going to prevent like something with AEW or what. Like, enough people know me and know so where that's not. It's like you can keep telling all these dirt sheet people all this, all that they're not going to be the ones that make any decisions. And you think that's going to hold any merit over the people that work in the company that know me, that have worked with me? It's an odd thing with all of it. But like I said, I wish them all well. It's silly. It's silly. I'm looking at the questions here. Let me see. I'm looking for a good question here, guys. Me and David Otunga follow each other still, and I haven't seen Dave in a few years. Last time I saw him, I ran into him at the Vegas airport, and right outside of a Starbucks, and we just random. He was here, I think, for the Olympia. Maybe it was a couple years ago, and I was flying in from an appearance that I did, and man, it was good to see him. He looks great. He looks outstanding. His son is getting big, man. I look, I go, man, time is going by. Everyone that had like kids that were little babies when we were all in WWE are like all grown up. His son was playing basketball and weightlifting, and his kid's gonna be a stud, no doubt. Sweet Sugar, thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, Lucha, bro. I think some people claim you were difficult to work with because it gets them views. Because what Punk said ever since that people love watching videos that bring you up in a negative way. 1,000%. That's correct. And that was never I never remember too being the whole difficult to work with things. These were would be things that you would hear if I was there that would have been coming out. You guys see how the internet works with things. So that's all I say. I go, what are the odds? I go, how random is it that all the wrestling stuff that is coming up that I've been gone for so long that like outside of Punk saying that which I've called out all the BS and the lies on that. I've explained that story how many times to you guys? We could talk until he had a personal vendetta. He couldn't physically hurt me, so he just went and flat out lied. And he's a very smart guy on the way he'll lay things out and conveniently tell you guys like, yeah, we didn't go through the middle of the table. So we have evidence that we didn't go through the middle of the table, but we went through the table at the end of it and we landed on padding. But tell people it's concrete, right? Now, big bad Ryback. But I don't know how the difficult to work with thing, because that was never ever a thing, but that would have came out. All of this would have came out when I was there. That table spot, that would have all came out though there if Punk would have actually said like that. That Meltzer with all his connections, you guys would have heard like all this stuff saying Ryback did this to Punk, Ryback's being suspended or Ryback's being, fined. Nothing, literally nothing. Nothing came about of it because everything went as planned. We landed on padding. Everything was fine. He was brittle. Anything could have hurt him. Body slams used to hurt him. I used to have to set him down so soft on slams because he couldn't even take a regular body slam because he was so beat up and grizzled. I can't control that. If people are hurt, I get being hurt. That's not my fault though with it. And that's where a lot of people, but he has a lot of pull and a lot of power with people. But if you've never seen me, have you ever seen me alter my stance on it? Right? Hey, it would be really easy just to come out and go, hey, you know what, guys? Oh, yeah, I was completely wrong. I'm sorry. It was something the lies, I am not gonna give him that of defending those lies. Like it is, I'm not playing that game. No, that's not what happened. None of that. You like he tried to bury me. No. And then he's been buried ever since in the process by life. And he has more coming. And I wish him the best, but he has more coming, whether he wants it or not. Because you guys are seeing it's not, that wasn't a me thing, that was a him thing. So, but they get views on all that stuff, no doubt. You guys see it, and it is what it is. But the best thing to do is to create your own content. You guys make clips of my content. That drowns out the hate and negativity. But do you see the game? If they suppress my stuff, it makes it harder for the good to rise, which is where I need people cutting this show and putting the clips on TikTok and Instagram and tagging me. You guys are going to be the ones. That is how we're going to grow this thing to new heights and overcome all this stupid hate and negativity. 1,000% too, Rebecca, on all of it. I would routinely tune Punk out
if he would like try to like complain or something backstage. Like I was so fed up with everything. And like I'm telling you guys, Mr. Tough Guy, you don't think if I would have done that to him with how tough Phil is but this is before the UFC stuff. So he thought he was really tough. Okay. You don't think that he would have tried an altercation in the back? No, because he physically knew he couldn't with it. And it didn't happen. And there was no like, no, Phil, I'm dumb as F. Like, I don't like it's so ridiculous, all of it. Like if he would have ever said anything to me, I wouldn't have heard it because I would have ignored him. I was going to the locker room to go shower and go to the next town. Like I would have been pulled in gorilla by Vince and all of them. If what he said happened as is, I would have been pulled aside in gorilla. There would have been a major discussion going on. None of it happened. So it's like, and then I can't, I don't know what else to tell you guys other than the truth with it. So it's like the people like the Brock Lesnar, they think Brock punched me in the eye and beat me up backstage. I don't even, to this day, it is one of the most dumbfounding, ridiculous things. I'll never know where that came from, other than I think it could have been Paul or WWE to try to sabotage the character of Ryback, like which clearly didn't work with it. But I'm like, what? Where does this stuff come from? Yeah. Punk says you were difficult to work with, yet everyone says himself was a C word and poison to the locker room. The truth always wins. And I think it's, I just don't know what to tell you guys other than it's kind of like that's not to say he doesn't do good stuff in the ring at times and good promos, because he does. But like there's, I told you, I've just seen him talk down to too many people and act like a real a-hole to too many people, and I didn't tolerate it. And that drove him crazy. And I called him out on the BS on the stuff going on that we talked about the other show. And it was like, it was a personal thing. And that though, you guys should think, how low of a human being do you have to be to try to ruin a man's career on that? And to try to take away the ability to feed your family. That's a very dangerous game you're playing right there. So. Hello. Good to see all of you. Yeah, big guy heat. I got along with all the big guys though. With it, there was never big guy heat thing is a thing though, and it is a real thing. There's all heat in wrestling. There's luchador heat. There's long hair heat. There's all heats, all types of heat for every different category of wrestler, style of wrestler. It's just it's a weird thing. Ricky Hernandez, thank you for joining the Ryback Show. Coffee is great, thank you. I'm actually, it always cools off to where I wish it was a little hotter towards the end of the show, but nice ice cold, feed me more nutrition. Hungry, double-barreled, 750 milliliter bamboo top, screw-on water bottle. These things are, I like to have 1 to 2 bottles of water out of this a day. I have like different bottles that I drink water out of. So I like, rather than just using the same one, I like use multiple different size water bottles that I make sure that I get all my water for the day in various ways. Good to see all you guys. Kevin Owens was always great. Always enjoyed wrestling Kevin. I've talked about him various times on here. I'm very happy for him, and he's been able to get himself a very good spot and stay true to himself. What do you think of the WrestleMania 39 match cards? I'm excited for it. I think there's going to be some good things on there, and it's a 2-day event now. It is, and it's only going to be 4 hours away from me, and going to be. Is it 4 hours? Yeah, it's in LA. It's about 4 hour ride from where I am. Maybe 4.5. depending on the time of the day. If you leave at night, not a lot of traffic, or early morning, 4 hours. If it's afternoon, you're probably looking at 4.5, maybe 5. But it's shaping up to be. I like that The Miz is going to be the host. I think that's very fitting, and I'm looking forward to it. I just put out, even though all my accounts are shadow banned, maybe somebody of you guys could cut this clip and let's get this clip rolling, huh? And I saw in the news that Bill Goldberg did an interview where he said WWE owed him a retirement match for something. I don't know if it was the contract, something, and that they owed him a retirement match. And I put out a thing. I go, very interesting with that, because I've talked about that multiple times. I don't think that there's anybody else that it should be other than me in the retirement match for Goldberg with everything. And it was a match I always wanted in WWE, and he was never there. And then I leave, and then they conveniently bring him in after I'm gone, and walked out. And he went on that run and won the championship against Brock, which was a very shocking, surreal moment in the history of pro wrestling. And, you know, I've got to meet Bill. He came up during his WWE. I was at WrestleCon in New Orleans, and he was getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. It might have been that night. And a lot of the guys had came over from WWE and were saying hello to. There's a lot. Everyone knows everyone, right? Or has friends that on the independents, or guys that are in town working for other promotions. So at the WrestleCon signing, he was over there saying hello, and he saw me from across wherever he was, and he came over and just introduced himself and said hello to each other, and that was it. Very nice, very quick, brief on that. And that's the only time I've ever met him. But I just think that would be everything in life and wrestling, though, is all about storylines and timing. And prior, I was not healthy and not able. Now I'm healthy and I'm able. And like, he's at the end and ready to call it quits and hang up the boots. And I just think it's one of those things that's the built-in storyline. There's no bigger storyline for either of us in that sense of his retirement match that would make more sense than that, in my opinion, with it. But that would take so much to get that even done. And I don't know what kind of shape he's in, if he's training, but it's, I found it interesting because now that I'm going to be in possession of my trademark, and he's, I'm finally at a stage where I'm really close. It's like, now's the most realistic time for it to ever, because it wasn't realistic when I was in WWE. They would not, was told, no, don't even entertain it. They weren't bringing him in. Their relationship was strained for a long time. Right. Which is probably was shocking why he went back. I was like, what are the odds of that? And, but yeah, Ryback Goldberg, retirement match for both of us with my Twitter polls versus his retirement. Hold on. I missed, some good questions in here that I will get to. Let me, there's a super chat. Feed me more from Looter Crisp. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Seeing if I missed one other one. You all right, Sophie? Sophie's been grinding her teeth still. It is driving me crazy. I'm going to have to probably take her in. I also had an incident. I'm waiting for the tree company to get back to me. One of my palm trees in the back, and I posted a picture on Instagram, is the wind. We got really bad rain the other day, and then we got really high winds. And so when the rains and the ground here gets in the desert soil, gets moist, and then it was followed by like ridiculously high winds last night and more rain. One of my palm trees in the back, I look out the window in the morning like I always do, and I like do a double take. I go, is my tree like bending? And I'm looking, it doesn't look like it's split anywhere, because palm trees are those things don't like snap. It takes a lot, maybe a hurricane or something for those. And a lot of those survive hurricanes. But I'm looking at it from the ground. it looks like it came out of the ground slightly, and it's like bent over and it's facing towards the wall. And it's way that tree is heavy. It's a heavy. I went out there. It's really heavy, and it's gotten big enough to where it's dangerous. But it would fall if it falls into the wall. If it unless it slowly falls and doesn't pick up too much speed because it's already facing that wall, leaning that way, it might not damage the wall, but it also could completely damage the wall. It like neither will shock me, and I'm like, oh, and if it got really big, then the neighbor's yard could tip over. That's what there's a house directly below me over there, so I got to get this, have them come back out, and they're probably gonna have to pull it, plant it deeper. Is my guess. I don't know. They may say they. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see what they say. But I'm shocked because all the other palm trees are good to go. But I'm like, maybe they didn't plant that one as deep because I got them when they were a lot smaller. So it's wild, but it's being held in by the roots. And I was out there. It's in there good still, but I go, it's growing at such an angle. I go, I can't let that go now. Hello, hello, hello. Almost gave you a Twitch raid of 30,000, but you hate marks. I don't know what is that all about. I don't even go onto my Twitch or do anything with it. I stream the show on there still. I could see comments from anybody that's in here from Twitch, but the show doesn't get distributed at all on that channel. No, the Shield guys legitimately, from my thing, I don't think they liked Punk too much. Not a lot of people did. I'm not like, I don't know what else to tell you guys on it. Like it's believe what you want to believe. Let the Bill Cosby effect keep tricking you. I don't know what else to tell you. I missed $100 super chat. I know what you're talking about. I don't think it was 100. It's not 100 American. Let me see if it pops up here. Another super chat here. Sorry. Fedor versus Brock would have been awesome if they had fought years ago, from Jesse Salcedo. I agree. That would have been a badass encounter. I would have paid to see that. I know that was way up there. I'm gonna keep going. Fruity Pebbles versus Cocoa Pebbles. Probably going Fruity Pebbles. That was the one I liked both, but that was the one I had more than often. There's another super chat. I think. Yep, here it is. What currency is this in? Somebody has left me 100 of something, which sometimes in the other country's currency could be like 10 cents. But hey, anything is appreciated here at the Ryback Show. One of the greatest heels WWE had. Heel characters aren't always terrifying, dominant, exciting, funny at the same time, and you have them all. Thank you very much. That's a that's literally what I just try to be myself. Where I told you guys the other day, like I really believe in like expressing yourself fully in different situations, because some people become so limited. And like, even when I was playing just the feed me more angry, very few words spoken monster with that, I always knew that I was like, this is just playing a role, and I know how to play that role really well with that. But I'd rather play a role where I could just be myself and not have to try to, like, you see it with guys all the time, like in interviews. You see guys that are playing like kind of a badass character, like they're afraid to like just show their real selves because they're afraid people are going to think they're a fraud. A lot of times that comes from insecurity and not believing you're a tough guy or who you are, not having it. There's some sort of internal insecurities with it where you want people, where you're afraid to let people see who you are, because we live in a world. I tell you, I learned a lot from Gary Vaynerchuk, and we're all going to be loved and hated regardless of who we are. So we may as well just be ourselves, because in that, I'm going to get the people that genuinely are like me, that we have a lot in common, and we're going to like, and the ones that don't, they can make that decision if not based off that. A lot of them hate whatever. They think I'm just not for you. There's billions of people. I'd rather get along with the millions or billions that like me, or that we have stuff in common, with that for me, what we could talk about that I enjoy talking about rather than being a fraud and that's just in all areas of life. And I don't agree with it because it's physical acting with it. But that's where this doing my social media, I felt was so powerful. I go, because nobody else was doing it like that. I go, I'm just going to show myself and I know who I am and what I am and know what I'm capable of and my sense of humor and the timing of things. And I know when I'm serious. And, and I think it's a great way to just, there's no better character development than when you're a character based off yourself, which everything is on that and just turned up, but it's all the same stuff because it's not just a gimmick and a catchphrase. It is me. It's my brand. It's my identity. It's my life path and journey of my mindset, that hungry mindset. And to me, I think there's the most potential in the world for that with all of this. And this is why I'm so believe in this so strongly. I could joke and be silly all day long. The moment I'm serious, everyone believes. You know why? Because I believe, because I know. And that's just, you got to have that ability. And if you do, you can do great things. But I greatly appreciate, because that is what I strive for, to just being myself and being balanced. No, Umer, Umer says, big guy, what's going on in the media saying monk fruit and stevia are bad or bad for the heart? Are they? No, erythritol, I believe, is the pronunciation of the thing. Somebody had sent me image that CNN was like, because I think it's getting grouped together. I have to go back and look and see. Last I saw they were doing it was erythritol, but nothing would shock me that stevia and monk fruit, natural sweeteners, they're getting, I think, because erythritol is used as a filler in some of that stuff. It's not used, and they're not clarifying that it's used in only like some, like erythritol is in like those vitamin water zeros. And I don't even know how much, but I know I've seen it on the back of the label. They like use that with the stevia. It's an entirely different thing though. Like we don't use any of that in the Feed Me More nutrition supplements, but I have to go look and see at it. What I know, the erythritol though, like these companies, like, well, there you got Coke, Pepsi. What did Coke and Pepsi, the big soda companies, these people, they're all tied in. They are on the artificial sweetener train. I used to get threatening letters when I started, and when I post comments on certain things on artificial sweeteners, people of the companies have actually some big wigs that this was years ago had just sent things over like saying like, you shouldn't post that. And I just go, it's true with it, block with it. It's not playing that game. You got to see how like the way the world works in that, like that's kind of like the pharmaceutical companies, right, with everything in the media, like, but it's erythritol based off the one study that I'd seen with it. It wasn't stevia and monk fruit. So, but I think that it would be not by accident if the media is kind of grouping it together to confuse people, because their money lies in artificial sweeteners. Okay, which there are a lot of studies showing that those are not good. A lot of people, a lot of data on that in personal experiences, and I know firsthand, like it's not good for people. So, but I'd have to look more at it to comment further. But I know it was just erythritol, not stevia and monk fruit, from what I'd seen. Hello. I got to go up. Let me see. Yeah, the Stone Cold character seemed like him turned up. I agree, and it's why I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, character of all time, as far as his connection in all areas. Thank you. We got another very kind Wrestling with Rip Rogers. Thank you very much. Everybody, please go follow and subscribe to Rip's channel. Thank you very, very much, Rip. I just talked about the other day on here. There was about people that one of the guys wanting to go to one of the wrestling schools, and people they didn't know how to go about it. And I always mention finding a school though, like OVW, or a school where somewhere where there's a connection to pro wrestlers that have actually done it and experienced it, or have trained other successful guys that have made it. And over, not to say that you can't get good training at a place that doesn't have that, but it increases your odds of learning things the right way
And I always mention OVW with Al because both were very beneficial. I've often said one of the biggest regrets with Rip with me was my mindset, because I came from Deep South Wrestling, and I was like literally shell shocked when I got to OVW, because it was fine. Like it was boot camp for a year of just drills, 8-hour days, both classes on a lot of them. And I got down there and it was like night and day. Like we used to do, like, have to run the every day before training, 500 Hindu squats, 100 push-ups, 100 crunches, and a mile run in our boots around. It was, I don't know how many times Bill had it timed out with his truck. It was like 2 times around all the buildings, but I would have to do that twice a day for both classes, and then all the drills, and it was just drills. And I love Bill, but like that would have been a good thing to see if you wanted to be in the business and to see if you had the heart to and to want to do it. But that was just it. That was the training the whole time. So I got to OVW. I was like, oh, this is, guys were like just doing their own thing and like warming up on. I go, you guys don't have to like be military style. I was like literally shell shocked at the whole setup. And then we would just do like the 3-4 hour days, and some days you didn't train. It was just watching tape because you're running shows on the weekend. So you're working, because we weren't doing shows at that time in Deep South. And that was my first year, literally my first year in with it. So it was like night and day. So I took more advantage of the not Rip's classes were at night, but one of the regrets, I wish that I would have had more training under Rip with it, because everyone that I know that's trained under him that's made it, they have a very good, they all have good psychology. I've never seen anyone that's come from Rip that's had bad psychology on it, and as well as learning a lot of stuff. And like I remember I told this story before on here, and this is my Rip Rogers. Outside of that, because I think I went to like one class, and that was it. And then we'd all, me, Cody, and the guys, but we would at night watch tape. That's when the smoke, and that was the whole other phase. Me, Cody, and then there were a few other guys. We'd literally talk wrestling, watch WWE classics on demand. So life was wrestling still morning to night, but I was just like, from a physical standpoint of that, I was like, I took advantage of not having to do double classes. But I went to one Rip class after I'd been released from developmental, and this was before I was rehired as Ryback. And me and the girl that I was with for a year and a half, and we had separated, and it was like I knew I had to get back and get in ring shape. And I had a real bad alcohol problem. I was drinking a bottle of Burnett's every night, and it was a mess. Watch my WWE WrestleMania tapes, but I was working out still in good shape gym wise, but nowhere near like, that's why I think I've learned I keep my cardio up, and I do all the crazy stuff now, because cardio is conditioning's confidence. And if you lose that, the older you get, the harder it is to get it back. But at that time, it was just like elliptical training. I wasn't doing wrestling training, and my body, I literally was still drinking heavily. And I went to one of Rip's classes, and we were doing the hour. I didn't know we're even near the hour. We're the chain wrestling around in the different stations, and which I'm a fan. I love that. And but I was in no shape physically. My body was locking up. I was so dehydrated and cramping with whatever it was. I mean, it was early. That it was one of those, but that was one of those life moments where I learned a very valuable lesson. But it was embarrassing too, to cramp up like that, because there was no. I mean, it was full body, severe alcoholic cramping, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad." And with that, and then I got rehired shortly after, and was by Johnny, and that tryout, which almost didn't happen. I've talked about that, but it was always it's just everything I've seen with Rip. I'm a big fan, because and guys like that, and Bill was tougher in different ways, but like in no nonsense BS, just straight tell it like it is, because you might not like it at the time, but it will help you, and it will make life easier when you do make it, because the business is not easy. Bill always said that. Bill was always, and I respect him a lot for it, and because I don't think it's helped me have the confidence with everything. He goes, nothing will be ever as tough as training with me in your entire career, and it hasn't been in that sense, because those days were, it was in the business, and all the sacrifices you make, and the mental
on top of physical toughness, you have to have the mental toughness you have to have. And that's what I like. We're going as a society in general. We're making things easier. We're letting people in with different feelings that can't handle. And I go, we're going the wrong direction. You need for things with like a sport that's built around toughness and the illusion of a real fight. You want certain things kept in place to protect it, and it's kind of gone the other way and easing up. And so I've been through it, so I understand. I have a respect for tough training, and not saying everyone has to do it all the time, but there's just something to it to see and how badly you want something. And if you could survive tough training with nobody around, you could do anything with thousands and millions watching, when you're mentally and physically prepared. So I'm a big fan. I will always forever promote positive things with Rip Rogers, because I've seen the positives. Jared says Vegas Vipers, XFL football team, are playing at Cashman Field, north of Fremont Street. You should go to a game, brother. Yeah, I probably will. I know a girl here that she went to the last one, had to leave because the weather was bad, that Justin Roberts did the announcing for when him and Ziggler were in town for it. And then Justin, after our night, we went out and met. Justin did the appearance. That area is horrible, just so for the record. But I used to go to all the AAA games when I was a kid. My parents would take us, me and my sister and my friends, to the Las Vegas. They used to be the Las Vegas Stars, and then they turned into the Las Vegas 51s, and now it's a different team, and they have a different ballpark they built up in Southwest Vegas, Summerlin area. But that stadium is old, and it's great. Like, I would love to go. I probably will this year at some point. If my friend goes, I'll mention something to her about going one of the weeks with her. But I drove by actually last week. I was running an errand. I actually had to drive by, and I didn't realize they were at Cashman Field. But I go, that looks like something is going on there. And what's it called? Well, I knew it was at Cashman Field, talking to Justin, but I drove close, but the area was just like, I had forgotten how bad an area it is, and it's even worse now the way things have kind of happened and with everything the last few years. And that area is really run down that it's around with it. But yeah, maybe at some point I will. But I talked about it. I was shocked that they chose that stadium over the Sam Boyd where the UNLV Rebels used to play. But I've heard multiple stories that UNLV, when they moved to Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders, for the UNLV, for the Rebels, that there was an agreement that they wouldn't use Sam Boyd for any other football events, which could explain that. And then I've also heard, which it could be both actually, that and they haven't ran any events since 2020 there, since COVID and all that. So, but our Sam Boyd Stadium is in a much better area, and it's a football stadium, outdoor football stadium. It's much nicer than Cashman. So I'm a little shocked, but they had to have gotten a sweet deal on that place. Cashman had to have given them a good rate to run the XFL there this year. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying I share wicked cool stories. And as I said, you guys are more than welcome to cut the clips of this show. And this is going to be the way we beat them. The more of you that share these clips on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube, and just tag me, and I will share them right back and tag you. And hey, they want to suppress and limit my stuff. It's the Andrew Tate deal. If you push this stuff out, I get a lot of people, a lot of views that do it. And we need more people doing it. And I completely support it. You're more than welcome, like I said, to cut the show and to use it and get the views, grow your channels, and it will help me. And like I said, if I can help you, awesome. Tyler, be respectful of people. You don't have to bash Flair to put me over. It is an honor to be able to grow old. That is something I wish. I've always, even younger, never had a negative outlook at people older. But I've always understood, and if we're lucky enough, we're going to get older too. And they were here, they occupied this planet before us, and it's just I don't understand, like, and there should be no disrespect either way, but I see it a lot with like younger people, and I feel like I'm at that stage of I got my health back and feel great, but knowing like it is inevitable, it's going to happen, that where I feel like I'm in that middle stage of it, but looking and like you could just see some like disrespect with younger people. I was like, brother, like you're gonna get old too. You're getting older every day. We're all getting older every second, every minute, every hour of every day, week, and month and year. So it's like I always do when people go like, "Oh my God, my idol's getting older." It's like, yes, little Billy, he is, and you're also 10 years older than you were when you saw him 10 years ago. So it's a weird thing. I'll never understand it, like why it's not. But that's where I think being where the need to want to stay athletic and active, and to keep we want to stay. It like to me, getting old is there's different ways to get old where you can be old and active, and you're not really you take care of yourself and you're healthy, as opposed to like old and crippled and unable. That I don't wish on anyone, or and being in the pain and hurt I was at 34 with all that, like wouldn't wish that, but it happens to so many with that. But I just think there's like a perception of like of weakness, right, as you get older, which I mean at some point you're definitely weaker than you were. But it's just weird how there's people that admire and respect it and understand it, and then there's those that like view it in a negative way. It's like, well, if you're here long enough, you're going to be old too. But yeah, I want to keep doing all this. I hope I'm 130 years old doing the Ryback show, and with all the technology and stem cells, and I'm not going to do the facial surgeries, just all the supplements and the new things that hopefully like look the exact same. Welcome to the Ryback show. I'm the big guy Ryback. Drinking my prune juice. I won't be allowed coffee, no caffeine at that age. Got to protect the ticker at all cost. But yeah, it's no. I hope the goal is to hopefully be as active and healthy as possible, and that's the other. I think two people think when you get older you have to lose like the inner child, and yeah, that's why I hope I never do. And life is serious, and I've been through very serious matters, and there's a time and place for everything. But I think the more we can hold that inner child in us in some way, shape, or form, and that like I have our sense of humor, and but that's why like I like to just be able to have fun and be sarcastic. A lot of things are taken out of context at times too. When you're that, we live in a day and age where common sense is seems less and less common, and where sarcasm is missed entirely. A lot of I see it all the time with I've seen it with myself and with other people. It's like what's going on, but I don't know. Ecuador, saludos, gracias, Ecuador. Sylvester Stallone still jacked, Arnold still jacked and looking great. They're staying active, they're moving, and that's the key. It's just not sitting still, freezing too much. Who do I need to shell shock in here? Matthew? I'm taking a look. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get rid of Matthew for that comment. Shell shock. We're gonna meat hook him, pick him up, 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 meat hook him, put him into the corner. We're actually gonna give him some back elbows, really, really aggressive ones. I move the elbow pad down around my wrist, just bone to flesh over and over and over and over. Pull him out, meat hook him again, pick him up, shell shock, pick him up, shell shock, pick him up, shell shock, throw him out of the ring, just disrespectfully, really, really aggressively. And we've shell shock bash you out of Rybackville. Thank you for playing, Matthew. Really horrible thing to say, though, to somebody. That was the most vicious beating I've given on Ryback TV. I apologize. You guys had to hear that. That was, I let that get to me a little bit. I think it was sometimes you've got to make sure he doesn't try to kick out and be unprofessional. We had to bring the pain to Matthew. Say a prayer for Matthew, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Matthew will be back under another name. He's gonna threaten my life at a younger age. What a horrible thing to say. Cody Rhodes said that once, and that was a joke. Cody said a joke that I was gonna die at like 30, 31. Or no, was it not 31? No, it might have been 31. He was ridiculous, but he was clearly an age. It was close to where we all were, like what, like where it's like with that. But yeah, that other guy, that was just uncalled for. People are gonna be mean no matter what we do in life. You just gotta be able to block, shell shock, and keep on doing our thing, living in the real world as much as possible. Because honestly, for every bad comment, there's like 1,000 great ones. There's or hundreds of good ones. It's like you just kind of you get over it and just keep moving on. Red Wolf says, "How many roids do you do?" It's a great question. I believe it or not, I'm firmly against the use of steroids outside of for TRT, HRT, testosterone replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy in the normal levels monitored by a board certified physician and with routine blood work due. I've been on it since I was 28, and I have normal testosterone and hormone levels, but I do take testosterone. And but I think a lot of people, you know, I'm not, I don't agree with like the bodybuilding and abusing drugs. And I'm all for, I wish all the pro wrestling companies, all the TV ones, I wish they had legit enforced drug testing because it makes me more special. And this is why I don't like when things take away from that. And that's why I'm as outspoken on it as I am. So, and I have no problem being honest about it. Like if I was on it, I would just say it because it's silly, like the Liver King stuff. It's just ridiculous and silly. I don't have even like in pictures where like I am, where it looks like if I'm looking vascular, I have to hold my breath and push as hard as I can to get the veins to come out and be lean as it is with that. But I don't have you ever like guys with like the huge hose vein thing. I don't have that. I never have. I can get the veins pop out of my neck and my traps and a little bit of my chest and shoulder, but like you don't see like those weird, odd, ugly, squiggly, and like it's and when I'm relaxed, I have a very my skin looks normal. It doesn't have that bulging out look on it. And I think that's the difference when you're like flexed and not flexed, you have a different look. You have a softer look with it. And it's like I've never had that like just roided out look of like it's just unless I'm flexing and holding onto the ropes, which I would do specifically because I knew I could look really good for camera shots on that. I could push the traps up and get the angle and look silly on it, look like a freak cartoon character. But the moment I relaxed with that, all that went away. The Cali muscle. Look, yeah, there's a lot. You can clearly see it. Arms are abnormally large. Shoulders are abnormally large. They have like a square look to them more than anything. You've never seen that. I've never had that. Lucha Bro says, I love Pumplex City. Best stuff to use on arm day. Brother, I do too. Thank you very much. I take it. I take my scoop with the creatine and I do a little extra wake up in it too. Get a little extra kick in it and a little bit of ribose. That's my pre-workout drink. I don't know if Punk will go back to AEW. I really don't. I don't know what the situation's going to be. Nothing would shock me though either way on any of that. What is my opinion on Rich Piana? Unfortunate, obviously passed away at a pretty young age. He was in his was he in his mid 40s or late 40s or early 50s? I'm not sure. I know he might have been in his mid 40s at the time or later 40s. I didn't know him. I never met him. I knew some people that knew him. One of the girls one of the girls ended up dating him. I think at one of the periods. obviously he was truthful on drug use and things, and and I don't want to comment like on things I don't know because I didn't know him. I'd heard things and different things that he was involved in and whatnot, and I think he lived a pretty wild life, pretty reckless life. Again, wasn't there for any of it, just from what I'd seen and saw in the way at that age and doing that stuff to that level, and on top of other drugs and stuff. It really unfortunate that he passed away. A lot of people looked up to him, and unfortunately, though, too, a lot of people do drugs because of him, and then not because of him, but that inspired them to want. Well, he did it, and he made it. Like it's a crazy thing, but obviously, and I don't know who took over the supplement line, and they're still running. It appears the 5%. And I'm not a fan of the ingredients and all that, the artificial sweeteners and colors. But I saw he had some good formulas. He had some good formulas, and still probably does. But I don't agree with what they're putting in the products on the sweetening side of things and coloring side of things. But it's but we've seen it with guys. Like it's just a dangerous. You're not gonna. If you ever notice, my look is very consistent, even with the surgeries and the stem cell procedures, because I still trained, even if it's lighter. But I never like drastically change, right? And I'm very close, weight everything now to what I was. Like we're very close, and cardio even better on that end. But the guys like they get off the stuff, the gear that they use, they drastically shrink. Like you could see, and there's some guys you're seeing now it's happening to, and then it's you know a lot of them can't function and live that way and not get the attention or understand how to build muscle without it. And genetics play a large role in that too, on how well you build muscle, on just how big are you, what kind of family do you come from, and whether but to do that live that kind of life though, it's just very dangerous with it. It comes with a lot of consequences, and it's unfortunate with a lot of young people on social media that are going all in, and it's a risky game. It's a risky game. And like I said, I experimented with it mildly from 2023, 24, and there was like a year and a half gap from like when I tried my first one, and it just like didn't like how I felt after, and it was never a lot, but like learned a very valuable lesson having to go on TRT at a young age, and I never like did anything crazy. Like there's people doing like crazy stuff, and I don't know. It's just you can't do that for too long. Cena is shrinking, and he has, again, with actors, and we talked about it with The Rock. They will adjust for roles, though, and have extreme weight loss and whatnot. And John definitely has slimmed down a little bit. He still looks amazing though. He works out. John works out very hard, and he's very disciplined and with that. But he definitely, he has come down, and there's going to come a point. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know how low my weight can ever go if I keep training and whatnot. But like, and the older you get, it's always better on your body to just have your weight come down if you could control it. When I'm in my 50s or 60s or 70s, and if I'm lucky enough to just keep going 80s, 90s, the older you get, you want to have less burden on your. You want to be active, you want to be strong, but you don't want to have unnecessary weight, right? If you can control it, depending on your size. And so I'm sure I'm going to be lighter than I was lighter a few years ago years ago with all the stem cells. I was in the low 280s, maybe high 270s for a bit, and noticeably like maybe 15 pounds like smaller, but still proportioned, and because I kept training just lighter with everything. But it's so I can get the weight down, but it'd be better to be 250 at 60 than to be 290, right? I think anybody would with that. But again, it depends. If you say it's no problem and my weight can stay similar and everything checks out health wise, and that's just the size and my body, great. But typically you thin down and trim down, and injuries play a part in that with people, and just and the ability to want to just stay healthy and active rather than unhealthy and inactive. That happens to a lot of people. You see it with a lot, and they're old. I don't think older age is a time to when our bodies are like to not enjoy life. Like ideally, and this obviously doesn't work out this way, is you want to be able to live your older years and have all that work and everything pay off, but live it healthy. Health is wealth, and to be feel good, to still be active and have the life lessons and the wisdom, and to be able to do good and pass that knowledge down and to be active. It's when we're inactive and hurt where life isn't, and I've lived it. It's not fun. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Good to see all of you guys. With that, I think we will wrap up today's show. We're going to have more Ryback shows coming here. I got to do a new feeding time tomorrow. I'm gonna be probably doing the Arby's. There's a new garlic roast beef or garlic something sandwich, roast beef sandwich. Or garlic prime rib sandwich. I'm sorry. So that might be the new Ryback feeding time video coming out next week. We're going to see. I may make a game time decision, but that was what I had in my head when I saw a commercial for it the other day during Raw. I go, oh, that might be the feeding time for this week. But don't forget, check out the Taco Bell feeding time on the new one. That's up on the channel. And let's view that Ruffles video, man-eating chips, 100 million view target. We're going to get that rolling. We're going to get that Ruffles deal at some point or time. And but thank you guys as always. Please check out my Feed Me More Nutrition on feedmemore.com. We've got the discounts in the description of the chat on there, guys. And again, more than welcome to cut the clips and use them how you see fit on your social medias. Just tag me if you do. But that's it for today's show, guys. Until next time, stay hungry, my friends. Feed me more. Feed me more.